done.
Peace and blessings, and welcome back to Heritage Hip Hop. Today's episode is the Mic Council. We talk about issues that go on in the hip hop community that we need to address. And today, before we get into the topic of education, I want to say thank you for watching Heritage Hip Hop. If you like Heritage Hip Hop, please hit the like button, comment, and share. I would love to hear or see what you have to say about this topic and more. Not only that, if you like Heritage Hip Hop, you like the content, you want to donate, $ Heritage Hip Hop for the Cash App. I appreciate all donations. Thank you. It is used to build this platform and for my independent voice. And shout out to Doggy Diamonds. And it's for this platform to go to the next level. I don't take things, put it in my pocket, and just run with it. It's to build the platform. So without further ado, I like to say subscribe to Heritage Hip Hop on all social media. Wherever there's Heritage Hip Hop, there's social media. So we're there wherever you stream your podcast, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, whatever. We are there too. And I thank you for joining us on this conversation. Today's conversation is education. And this is not a long video. It's going to be very short, but it's going to be very impactful because I'm a person who works in this school district. And in this school, I'm not going to say which one I'm in. Just shout out to all the teachers, shout out to all the children, shout out to everybody working in education that takes care of the babies and the teenagers and even the adults who are going to school to better themselves and be in society. But here's the question. What are we being taught and what are we learning? Because being taught and being schooled are two different things. So when you're taught something, you're given something to use for your life. When you're schooled, you're being given something to give a right answer. And that's something that I have a problem with. Because in today's society, our school system is garbage. I ain't going to front. I've seen curriculums that are horrible. I've seen curriculum that are great. I've seen children that are given the best. I've seen children that are given minimal. And sadly is divided by the county or the town, the racial makeup of towns and things, and it's pretty goddamn sad. I want to give a shout out to Newark, New Jersey, who has lots of blue ribbon schools and the children are excelling. I want to give a shout out to Irvington, who's out there doing their work. I want to give a shout out to all the schools that we have. But let's shout out to Montclair, shout out to Bloomfield, shout out to the whole New Jersey and people out there people give New Jersey such a bad rap. But listen, we out here making noise with these children. Shout out to Rutgers University, Monmouth University. Shout out to all the universities out there, NJIT. And New Jersey's doing this job. Shout out to New Jersey. Heritage Hip Hop salutes you. If you want merch, hit me. I got hats and shirts and all that. But let's talk about education because something I've really been seeing for the past 2 or 3 years has really bothered me. I'm not even talking about the alternative lifestyle education that's getting put in the schools that I'm totally against. I'm talking about, are we teaching our children the right thing? And are the parents cognizant of it? Everybody who's watching this is a parent somehow, some way. You're not watching me as a 5-year-old or 7-year-old. You're watching me as a person in the 20s, mostly male. I hope to get more females on here. Please share this video. But I want to ask you, what are your children learning? Do you know it? With the school system changing, we have math changing, writing changing, reading changing, corrections are not being done in school. And how do I know? How many times have you read an article online and the punctuation is trash or not right, and you're reading something and you're so confused? Now, mind you, you got predictive text on things, and that can hurt you, but there's a lot of things going on where in the school system, things are not being taught. Children not being taught cursive. I don't know what to say, but what I will say is this. We have a lot of things going on in our school system that we need to check. And as parents, you have parental rights in education. But before we complain about the children in the school, let's go back to appreciating the people who do the job. Because I remember when COVID was out here running rampant, thank God we're past that. It seems to be coming back. But thank God that we're past COVID. I remember when all the children were home and the parents was like, oh my God, I don't know how the teachers do it. People finally was appreciating the teachers for what they go through on a daily basis with your kids. Because I'm telling y'all, if you don't discipline your children at home, you're leaving them to adults and teachers and professionals to discipline your kids, and then parents come in having issues with the child not being disciplined, and we got so much going on that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? In the school system. Not only that, you have with the older children, they're questioning what they're being taught, which is great because the perfect way to learn is to debate. Now, here's the thing most people of color, Black folks especially, hate to admit. Debating is the best way to learn because when people think of debate, they always think about you're not agreeing with me, so we have to argue. No, that's an argument. A debate is when two frames of thoughts come together to compare notes against each other. Then you go away, think about it, and then come back with either a rebuttal or an agreement. And that's what education used to be. The original colleges and universities were people who challenged folks to think. We don't have a lot of teachers that challenge children to think because they're taught not to now. It's all about paperwork. It's all about getting your stuff in on a timely fashion, where enjoying the children and teaching them and those aha teachable moments are now being less and lesson because we have more technology in people's hands and less hands-on learning in people's hands. And that goes from anywhere from preschool up to high school. We have children addicted to YouTube but don't know how to reason. We have people in schools being told things but not taught things. And that's what got me very upset when it comes to education, because we really need to know what our children are being burdened with and how can they use it in their lives. I'm not talking about simple math, writing, literature. I'm talking about cognitive development, social emotional development, the ability to understand, make decisions, cope, and reason. We don't have that. We have people who are so addicted to the world that it blocks their children's education. I've seen children 3, 4 years old so addicted to the tablet or the TV screen that when it's time to read a book, they can't sit still. Or I have parents who, when you say, listen, we have a concern with your child, the parent gets so defensive that they don't want to know what's going on. They just think somebody's saying something's wrong with their child. See, here's the thing that you need to know as parents that I really want people to focus on, and that's for everybody in this hip hop life. If you don't know what is being taught, or you don't understand how things are being given to your children, you don't have a right to complain. So as a parent, make sure you understand the curriculum, the grading system, and the expectations of your child in all schools they go through. Because we have a very legit problem when it comes to school. I'm not even getting into the subjects yet. I'm getting into the understanding of what our children are given and do we understand what or why they're giving it to them. For instance, your child comes home with a grade. Why are you failing? Did you do your homework? Did you do this? Did you do that? Okay, what if the child did? If they didn't, then yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But what if the child did do their work and they still weren't passing? Is it the teacher's fault? Could be. Is it the curriculum? Maybe. Is it the metric system in which they're graded? Possibly. And that's something you should know. There's many different curriculum and we have in our schools. In preschool, you can have Montessori, creative curriculum. You can have Curiosity Corner. It was another one. I can't. My High Scope. There's things like that where all of them teach children basically the same thing, but in different ways. So when people say, "Why is your child doing this? Why is that? Why is that? Why is that?" The first question you should ask is, "What is the curriculum? and how is my child being monitored or graded or scaled on it. Then ask the teacher something. How well do you know my baby? Because if you do know them, what is their learning style? Is it visual, kinesthetic, auditory? Is it tactile? Ask them. And if you don't know what these things are, please, you have professionals who teach. Ask these questions and look them up online, because I have people who come to me and ask me questions about autism. Is my child autistic? How is my child this? Is my child that? And a lot of us don't understand that the things you're asking are so broad that it's hard to say yes or no. A person has to get to know your child. You have to get to know your child to know how to bring the best out of them. If your child hears music and then could just go repeat everything musically, that's probably auditory, and that's easy to see. If your child is very like colors and everything is different, it could be visual. If your child likes to break things apart and put things back together, that means they're analytical. And these things follow them as they go on in life. Because if you're an auditory learner, that means whatever you hear, you take to heart and you move on it. You know people like that in your work area, right? They just hear shit and run with it. Gossipers sometimes. Okay. If you have someone who's visual, they have colors everywhere. And things are put in special order by colors, and that's visual. Because that's their mental reminders. If you have someone who's kinesthetic, they're always on the go. This has to go there. This has to go there. This has to go there. And they put things in that type of order. If you have someone that's tactile, that means they have to use their hands to put things within hand reach, and they understand things by the touch. So like people who repair things or put like things together, they're great for that. And that, like I said, that follows us throughout our school careers. After those preschool things, that information is supposed to go to a core curriculum where the school system get it. Now, everybody sits down in chairs, of course, but it's still the teacher's responsibility to understand not only are they given the curriculum, but they have to match it to the child. And sometimes it's hard to do that because in our country, we have work, 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 and our interactions. So that's why home and school is very important. You know what I'm saying? It's very important for us to know what our children are given before we critique, hate, or come at somebody or even punish our children. Because if we don't have the understanding of how our children are being taught and what they're being taught, how can we fully understand how to help and engage our society to make it better? Right? I was appalled to find out that Black history isn't really taught in schools anymore in the Black community. Some schools do it. Shout out to the schools that really do it, but a lot of schools don't. Hispanic History Month, which is crazy that it's between 2 months, September 15th and October 15th. Salute to all my Hispanic people out there who watch Heritage Hip Hop. Your lives are dope and very important, and so is your history, and I appreciate you. Is that really taught? Do we celebrate it? Is there a correct way to do it? These are questions that we have that we really need to know. Do people know Che? Do people know Sonia Sotomayor? Do people know the story of Borican? And do we know that the difference between negro and moreno and how they're used crazy in language? Those are things that we need to address when it comes to, are we really being taught the right way? Are our children being taught the right way? And are we really using the education that we're being given? Because think about it. This is what makes up our lives. This is what makes up our raps. This is what makes up who we are as a society. And this puts us on the projection of where we're going to be. Because listen to me, prisons are made based off of SAT scores, demographics, and people projecting that you're going to fail. I'm just keeping it real with you. And if we're not being educated correctly, that means people are already looking to make money off of us in systems that are made to destroy us as a community. That's not fair. And that's not something that we should accept. So then what do? Do we wait for school to teach us? No. Go learn yourself. Give your children proper education and proper refinement. Let me tell y'all something. In my generation, our parents beat our ass and wanted us to have good grades. But you know what? Our parents taught us the biggest lie that they were taught, which was you go to school to get a good education, to get a good job. So we were taught by our parents to go get good grades just so you could join the workforce. We weren't taught about business modeling as a whole. Okay? Because some people may have, but as a whole, you go to school to get good grades and get a good job. That's all it was. We weren't taught ownership. We weren't taught that stuff. So now when you look on social media, now you got so many people talking about LLCs and ownership that people who are older than me are looking like, I don't know nothing about that. And they're hesitant because now they have to learn something new. Independence was not something that we were taught. We were taught to be workers, independent. That's foul. I understand, because people didn't have, and people always cheated them, or you had to look for a job to give to your family. A lot of people didn't go to college, graduate, and all that. And I get it. But is that proper education to learn to be dependent? I'm gonna be real with you. You know who my best teachers were? Besides the school system that I went to, shout out to the best teachers I had, Miss Degnan, Miss Schmaus, Mr. Dio Chen. I didn't have many black teachers, y'all. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I didn't. And I didn't have many male teachers either. That's just a couple I remember. But the best male teachers I ever had came from hip hop. KRS-One, Ice Cube, Wise Intelligent, Chuck D, NWA, Ghetto Boys. They were the ones who taught me a lot about, Pop. Salute the Pop. Rest in peace. They taught me a lot about being a black man in the education system. Songs like You Must Learn or Fear of a Black Planet, Dear Mama, Keep Your Head Up, Shaquila, Respecting the Black Woman. Hip hop taught me a lot more about myself than school, because in school, the only thing we heard about in books was slavery when it came to black folks. That's when things started. We were taught hatred and racism in cloaked veil ways. In school, we were taught about manifest destiny, which is the religious belief that Caucasian people were sent all the way around the world to conquer brown skinned people, and then God gave them the right to do it, and that was what they were supposed to do. That's what they were made for. And that's where the inferiority of the races came from, the manifest destiny manifesto that even religious institutions to this day co-sign. And I was taught this in school. I went to college, and in my after college studies for I didn't get a master's degree or nothing, but I did after college studies. We were taught, and it was written in the book, that people of colors, Negroes and Hispanics, they learn Ebonics, and that mental aptitude of a Caucasian child at third grade is equal to an inner city person at eighth grade. So you have to learn broken English to teach them correctly, because they're not going to understand. Basically calling us dumb. That's being schooled. I heard a teacher say he was hired by people because he knew how to talk black. Word? We live in a society where not only do people already think you're dumb or unlearned or been unable to learn, but they tell you whatever they want to tell you so you could do what they want, and you just get a pat on the head, a check, and be the last hired, first fired. And I think that is so, so wrong. We have people in school teaching about sex, but not teaching math correctly. We have arguments in school like, why are you teaching me this when I'm not going to learn it? Where we're not showing people how, when applied knowledge is correctly done, everything you learn can be used. Come on, y'all. I remember back in the day, we used to say, how is there an X in math? Like, letters and numbers don't mix. But when you pay your bills, you use algebra. Think about that. Or geometry, shapes and angles. But when you decorate a room or you make clothes, or you style something, that's geometry. See, we're not taught how to accurately use things because we're not being educated. We're being schooled. Do this, get a passing grade, and move on. But that's not life. We have people who look down on people in the inner city because of what they do to survive, not knowing if they were taught properly, our society would get better. Did you know billions of dollars are lost in America due to racism, and that if everybody was equal, we'd be even more lucrative as a people, as a country, than we are now? And our country's going to shit, really. And it's because we're not properly educating and putting the power into our children that we need to. See, in other countries, let's use Japan, for instance, they wear headbands with positive affirmations about learning. They do things in school to exercise the brain, exercise the body, and teach mental capacity. And the Netherlands and Ireland and the Dutch countries and all that, they have school for a couple hours, then the children do hands-on work to learn, to use what they learned for practical knowledge for their lives. We don't do that shit here. And that's why everybody's failing, because school is an 8-hour workday, not only for the teachers, but for the kids as well. So we are being worked from 3 years old, if you go to preschool, up to you retirement or the day you die. And that's not proper education. That is schooling and slavery, and something needs to stop. For real. We had an issue in school where the children's grades were so low that they made STEM, science, technology, STEAM, science, technology. I forgot what the E is, art and math. I forgot what the E is in STEM. Let me look it up real quick. But we were being taught that the children need this, and people need this, and we're not giving them what they need. Okay, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. That's STEAM. Science is S, technology is the T, E is engineering, A is the art, and M is the math. We need STEAM. But what are we giving it to them for if we're not opening up jobs and venues for them to get it? That's my issue. And then in certain schools, it's not everywhere. One thing I hate that I really want us to address when it comes to education is we all don't learn the same thing. We have public, private, Catholic, faith-driven, charter. Faith-driven could go be anywhere. It could be Muslim, it could be Christian, Catholic, Hindi, Chinese. We have all these different faith-based schools and all this, right? They all follow the guidelines of what the state requires for people to learn. Oh, homeschool too. They follow the guidelines of what the state wants. But nobody's really learning the same thing across the board. You have one subject that can be taught so many different ways that it's not practical. It's trash. Let me show y'all something. I don't know if you can see this paper, right? Let me show you something. 4 times 3. And what you was taught was 4, 4, 4. 4, 4, 4, right? So you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. Or you learned the 4 times table, 4, 8, 12, right? This is what they do in America. This is what they do in other countries. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then they take another color. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wherever the lines intersect, 12. So 4 times 3 equals 12. Practical. Mental gymnastics. Just like when you were taught, or when we were told your mind and study, read something over and over until you know it. That goes into what kind of learner you are, what I said before. Because if you're a visual learner, you could do a word in black, definition in red, and that works. Or if you were auditory, you read it and then you kept reading it and you kept listening to it, so it became repetitive. Or if you were tactile, you put something together so you could remember it. Our education system is so broken that people are trying to learn the same, they're not being taught the same thing, but they're learning it in the most unofficial way to better their lives, that they're actually hurting themselves in the process. Think about the people out here who sell drugs, unfortunately. They're the best mathematicians in the world because they know how to flip. They know how to put things together. They know how to double things up, triple them, come up with the X within algebra. That's the sum. Best mathematicians, and they will be the best businessmen in the game. But what do we do to help them? Nothing. And they could have been the best people in school to help us with math. What about the people who are out there doing construction? How could they help us with STEAM? How do we help the children learn? And the thing is, basically, when I go back to my main point is, if we don't know our children and we don't know what or how they're being taught or what's given to them, we will never understand how they're being graded, and we come down on them too hard saying, you failed, you need to do this, you need to do this, but we don't know how exactly it's being given. It's good to have tutors. It's good to have all that stuff. But be in your child's corner when it comes to education. Are they being treated the right way? Are they being taught the right way? Are we putting them in the right position to win and not to fail according to the people who are grading them? Like I said, this is not going to be a long conversation, but I just want you to consider, are you fully understand? Do you fully understand what your children are learning and how it's being given? Without further ado, I'm going to cut out of there. But we built today on education, and I just wanted to know what you think. If you like this video, hit the like button. Please comment and share. Share your story. Hit me in the comments. If you have any questions about education or what can be done or what is out here to help children, that's what I do. So hit me. I educate children. I've taught adults. I've done all that. And most importantly, I help find information to teach myself. And that's what we should all do. So please read a book, get off of social media, and spend time with your children. Understand what goes on in their day. And please look at what they're being taught and if it's correct. Because I'm telling you now, if you don't start looking at what your children are being taught, they're going to sneak something in that child's education, and it's going to be something that you may not agree with. I personally had an issue in school where I was the teacher and they wanted me to teach children about sex at 3 years old, and I wasn't having it. I wasn't teaching about same-sex marriages, not going over it in books like some people have two mommies, two daddies, not like that. Teaching it. I'm not doing that. So we had those type of things, and we have those things going on right now in school where there's school books now where people are naked in the school books talking about sexual relationships with each other. I don't care for any child, hetero, homosexual, whatever. I don't think any child should go through that. That's a life lesson that they should grow into and be mature enough to have, not as a young child. Okay, you feel me? So those are things that you may see in education coming up soon that are telling you, be very cognizant of what's going on out there and make sure you know what your child is learning. If you like this content, please hit the like button, subscribe to Heritage Hip Hop. Heritage Hip Hop is available wherever there's social media. So wherever you are, we are there. If you like podcasts and streaming podcasts, go to your podcast provider, look up Heritage Hip Hop. If we're not there, let us know and we'll attack that immediately. If you like the platform, you want to donate, our Cash App is $Heritage Hip Hop. And I use the cash to build up this platform and to be a monument for not only hip hop, but for a legacy to live on beyond me. Please subscribe to Heritage Hip Hop. And one more time, I appreciate you. Before I go away, I like to say, pillar in New Jersey hip hop passed away. I want to give a shout out to Ox. Ox is known for the freestyles on 8 Mile. And, you know, if you've seen 8 Mile, you know who Ox is. You look at the pictures. He had dreads in the movie, I believe. He might have. I'm not sure. But I just want to say rest in peace to Ox, because we want to give respect to those who deserve it. And that's what the platform was built for. So condolences to your family, to your son, your friends. May the Most High bless your eternal spirit. And may we grieve and come together as a community to honor you correctly. So with that being said, my name is Karev. It's been a pleasure seeing you. May the Most High bless you. Peace. And I'm out.